This episode is brought to you by toenails because it would hurt more if you stubbed your toe and didn't have one. Also brought to you by ink. It allows us to write shit down. Ink. And now here's our opening song. I would fall to your feet. I'd kiss the ground you walked on. If I could just hold you again. And now, here they are, your invenerable hosts, Carlos, Kareem, Wendell. Hey, gang. Hey, gang. Hey, gang. What's going on with it? It is 4:20. We actually made it on time. So if you indulge and that's why you're here, get to it, and then we'll talk about why we're here, really. Oh, what guan? If there's anything worse than someone who does not speak patois saying shit like "what guan," I don't know what it is. And there it is. I just did that. Nonetheless, let's talk about what we got coming up this week. We do have a very special episode. I was hoping. I'm going to let you in on one thing before we start doing the introductions of what's happening, that this was going to be a bit more interactive as we are used to. And I'm sure there's some way that it is. The other part of it is this. As I'm looking at it on the screen that we're looking at it, I don't have the interactive capability. Meantime, I do know that we're broadcasting to all of the places we're supposed to at the same time. It will save me some stress this afternoon. And I know and trust you're there. So welcome. God bless, and let's get into what we're going to be talking about this week. Hey, tomorrow I am going to be here with a very special guest. That is Asatu Hall. We are going to be talking about childbirth, the role of the doula in childbirth, the role of the black doula, the role of black women in the process of bringing life to this planet, and what it has always been. We will also, I'm sure, talk dance, creation, art, all of the other good things that we do like to talk. That is going to be at our regular time, happening at 4:20. Next week, we have some very, very, very special things coming for you. We have, what do we have? All sort of stuff. It's going to be dope. My producer's writing something to me right now. I don't know. I'm trying to look at three things at once. We have next week, we're going to be talking about Black creation. We are moving into Black August. So we're going to be talking about placemaking, creation, place claiming. We have some very special guests lined up. I want to save those for you, but I do promise you at least two of the three are going to be absolutely stellar, and if the other one is me, then you get what you get. You get what you get. We don't give up the perfect when we're looking for the good. Is that it? Flip it, reverse it. I don't know. I don't even know. We are into month 5. Many of us entering of holding ourselves in self. Isolation, self-quarantine, self-captivity, and that means even more that this time that we spend together, though prophylactic it may be, is very important. It is very important to me. I have been getting a lot of feedback that tells me it's important to you too, and for that I am very grateful. Oftentimes, this period of time is felt with great hilarities, as you know. And a lot of the conversations are filled with a lot of that too. I hope today's will be as well. It is also going to be filled with a lot of honesty. As many of you do know, I am a parent. I am a caretaker, co-caretaker of my child. I am also somebody who is sort of one up, one down in the child game. broke one, did not break one. One is now my guide from the heavens. Javito, I speak to every single day, and have now for about 11 years. And there are very, very many of us who are in this very, what you feel like when you enter it, elite club. And it turns out the more you learn about it, it's not that elite. There are quite a lot of us here. And one of the things that doesn't happen is that we don't get to discuss what it means. What does it mean to be in league with Dwayne Wade? What does it mean to be in league with other people who found them, with Busta Rhymes, with other people who found themselves thinking they had a child on the way, and then finding that life takes a drastic turn? It means a lot, and it means a lot as an artist too. So we are going to have a conversation today. If these are any of the topics that cause you great sensitivity, I just want to give you a heads up that this is a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. And I will be talking about this with somebody who is a celebrated artist, who is a celebrated educator, musician, is living in the Bay Area via the islands. We'll talk about that as well. Please, for those of us who are regulars under the philosopher's tree, welcome our new friend, Mr. Karega Bailey. Karega, I am looking for your applause, and I can't find the goddamn button to say that. There you are. Welcome to the philosopher's tree. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
What's good, family? How we feeling?
Oh, well, feeling vulnerable, feeling raw, but feeling ready. And it turns out that we do have some of the interactivity. Chantrell, good to see you, my people. Good to see you, my friend. So I look forward to the support that they offer us as we are in our conversation. And if any of it is question or narrative, I'll offer it up for you. But Karega, my guy, hey, tell me about it. What's going on? Where are you right now? Where are we talking to you?
Um,
Let's start physically. Physically, where
yeah,
are you?
yeah, yeah.
Let's
No,
start there.
I feel you. I'm home in Oakland,
Okay.
um, in the kitchen, one of my favorite spaces. Um, happy to be here. Happy to be
Yeah.
present. Been on the road quite a bit, so
Okay.
this is
What
home.
What's on the road mean? What's Where you been on the
Um,
road at?
I was down in LA recording some music,
Mm-hmm.
and came back here to Oakland to film for. Actually, it's a documentary centering the work we do on gun violence interruption
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
via a community of artists called Be Imaginative. And
Okay.
what's unique about the film is that my brother, I lost my brother in 2014 to gun violence. So my
Mm.
mother participates in the circle, as I often facilitate some of the circle. So we filming for that. So when I say like it's been a it's been a work week of emotions and storytelling.
Mm.
So I'm home now, and I'm pulling up with you for another story. So what's cracking?
Wow. Wow. Yeah. No, it's real. It's real. Uh, yeah. I mean, to be real honest, right? We were just talking before, and one of the first things I said is I hate when these things happen, and then the person who's hosting says, "So we were just talking before," uh, and now I'm doing it because as we were talking before, right? We had checked in, and in the check-in, you had asked me with some specificity and openness about where I am, and I answered you saying I'm tired, right? And not from a bad place. I mean, it's a blessed place. Um, I was in negotiations for idea stage now, so I can't really get that into it. But for another show that is in development, and just prior to that, dealing with the business around my day job, which is half this and half consulting around issues of race and equity and whatever. Yeah, and in the same place, right? It's a blessing um, to be doing all of these things, to be having the opportunity to share all of these stories and be in places of such bourgeois comfort as a kitchen and having nice coffees and all the things. And it's trying times, right? It's trying times, even in that, especially with the subject matter, right? Especially with the subject matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you say you were in LA, and clearly that's in the time of COVID. So what's that look like? What's travel look like for you right now? How are you
Travel.
doing that? Please tell me you're doing that safe. Please don't let me have to open this cussing you out for not being safe. How you doing? You being safe?
I'm being explicitly safe.
Okay, tell
I,
me about it.
so we got in the vehicle, drove down to one location, um, had a hotel, went and recorded in my brethren's home. It's probably the safest place for me to even record right now. Just the spiritual cleanliness of the home, but also like the fact that that home can hold the story.
Yeah.
So it was my first time recording since Kamayu was born. We'll get there. So she was born in September, and I was in a stride. I was in a stride of art as she was coming into the world,
Mm.
and everything got put on hold, and not with any spite either. I
Mm-hmm.
was just trying to check it for its weight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the shit worth? Because, you know what I'm saying, at that point I'm letting go of whatever. Um, so, I checked it for what it's worth, and it didn't disappear on me. I just wasn't open yet.
Yeah.
So I went down to record with this happened to be my best friend, but also just a hell of an engineer. We've been friends since '94.
Okay.
We was in middle school band together, marching band together in high school. But he
What
just
was
kept
what
going.
was your acts in middle school? What were you playing in middle school?
I played trombone.
Yes, sir.
I played the trombone in middle school. 2 years of concert band, jazz band, and then in high school I played marching band. I was fourth base.
Okay. All right. And what was your guy on? What was your boy on?
He's center snare. He was center snare. He's a bad. He bad. The boy.
Yeah.
He bad.
Okay.
He
Okay.
bad. He bad.
All right.
Part
So
of
y'all were
me.
there doing the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good run. So, we recorded some of my new findings, some of where I'm at. And that was just like a sacred space. And
Mm.
that's what we did. And on top of being just like extra hygienic, uh, it was also just it was easy to do what was best for each other in terms of safety. It
Yeah.
was easy to stay clean. You know what I mean? That was like we just understand there's so much levels to like showing up in love for yourself and in love for your neighbor. It just, you know what I mean? But we did a impeccable job at that. But recorded
Excellent.
some music, recorded great music. Got back in the car, came home. But just did that,
Excellent.
about 5 days straight. But also did catch a beautiful hike in Malibu. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and name that. That had to add 15 points in itself just to the nature of the trip. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
For real.
Hmm.
Yeah. For real. Man. I need to get out in some nature. I've been out, but when I've been out, I'm still urban running, right? Even when I get a distance on it, it's at least still the first 3 miles got to be straight through the streets. So it's I got to get up there. I got to get up there. I got to make that happen soon.
I
Yeah,
get you.
yeah,
Do to do spin, man. Do spin.
yeah. Right. All
So
right.
yeah, man. Prayer.
Good, good. Well, good. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back safe. You're back in Oakland, and that's where you and your family had been based and making music prior to COVID over the last several years. can you share with me a little bit about what the music is that you have been building, what the mission is that you have been building, and then we'll kind of get into some of what the bumps that life
Yeah.
brings to us are, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, the music and the mission uh, has been around creating agency and creating our own story, telling our own stories for our own learning and outcomes. So, we make music from the margins that lift the voice for the least of us, the left out and the looked over.
Mm.
Um, you know, there's like truly and truly, the more the more social impact spaces you're involved in, the more social justice pursuits you're involved in, you realize that it's a presence or absence of love. I'm not just trying to just take it jump to philosophy, but like you, people hold on to positions that aren't fact, right?
Okay.
It's your heart that won't budge
Okay.
for whatever reason. So, but in this work, man, the music highlights just that ability to kind of examine self and that ability to lift voice of the margins and just kind of see how you stand and building bridges of love and empathy to
Mm-hmm.
folks around you. You know what I mean? Um, it's a nice sound. It's a real nice sound. It's a nice sound. It feel good. The music feel real good. We just laid 3 new records yesterday and they feel so good.
All right.
So good. They do.
All right. And so, who else in the crew? Who's the crew made
Yeah.
of?
Yeah. So we are Soul Development. Soul Development is such a dope blend. You got myself, you got Lauren Adams, you got Brittany Tanner, and my wife Felicia Gangloff Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
We're a 4-piece vocal set, live band. It's just a brilliant blend of like I mean, it's black music, right? It's the spectrum of black music. It's Black American music. It is hip hop based. It is jazz based. It is soul. It is roots and culture. You know,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah. So you said roots and culture, right? Like, so let's,
Yeah.
I can't skip over it, man, because when we was talking about, I asked you what you had for breakfast, and you were talking about the aki, the saltfish, the
Yeah.
dumpling. How did you find yourself in the Bay? What was that journey?
Um, I'm a Brooklyn born Jamaican.
Okay.
My mother, my father from Kingston. I was born in Brooklyn.
Okay.
We left Brooklyn in late '80s, early '90s.
What part of Brooklyn?
Flatbush,
Mm-hmm.
Flatbush.
That's when it was
Uh,
Brooklyn.
very much so.
That
Very much so.
my uncle was living around Brooklyn around that time. I was in Brooklyn. Let's see, I had an uncle in Manhattan the summer of '88, and I was out there the summer of '88 and the summer of '89. My uncle in Brooklyn was there. I'm gonna say like 80, 85, 86, something like that. It was the same summer that it was the same summer after Bernie Getz, right? It was that same time, and it was right before the trial of the Innocent Five, and I remember that because we couldn't leave Brooklyn, right? We had to stay in Brooklyn the whole time. We couldn't go over to the island, and we couldn't
Mhm.
get on no trains. And so that's how come I saw Brother from Another Planet, and I saw Last Dragon in the theaters when we were out in Brooklyn. Yeah, 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 yeah. So it was a very, very, very. So you're talking about a very different, right? You're not talking about kombucha and rental bicycle Brooklyn.
Gee, when I seen when I
Talk to it.
seen what they did to Prospect Park, right? I said, I, I, I. You know what I mean? It really was like, really one of the illest sets of. I mean, I don't. This can't because you can't go and stop. I'm
Right,
just gonna call it
right.
one of the illest disappearing acts one of the illest mass assault disappearing acts I've ever seen. If that ain't violence, I don't know what is.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. I had gone back to the Bay recently, and I hadn't been, when I lived there, it was a very different place as well, right? Like Oakland was just chocolate city, bar none, like bar none,
Yep.
and it was, and like I had gone back, and I was like, oh, so okay, so it's white chocolate city. All, all right, okay, white chocolate. This does not have enough cocoa.
Mm-mm.
This that's just butter. That's just butter with sugar in it. What is that?
Oh,
Uh, but I mean, I know my people are still there, right? I know people from the town, from the deep east. I know that and it's the struggle everywhere, right? It happened across the nation all at the same time. So it was during that assault. That's when you came out
yeah,
around
yeah.
that time.
No, no, we came out earlier than that. We came out, but it
Okay.
was right. We came out like '89.
Mm,
Um,
mm, mm, mm.
yeah, we came out '89, and that was the beginning of the formative years. On the West Coast, we was in Sacramento,
Okay.
right? We was in Sac, and then I went back to school on the East Coast.
And where was that at?
I went to Hampton,
Okay.
and then I moved up to DC,
Mm-hmm.
and then came,
Speaking of white chocolate cities,
yo, assault,
yo,
assault, assault, assault.
yo,
Listen, all right, listen.
break
I
it down.
can't stand, I can't stand it because it's all around us. Like this is, we here for one thing, but it's all around us. That's how invasive that system is. But one time, when I was in DC, this is before I moved.
Mm-hmm.
I saw, like they're doing construction. So
Mm-hmm.
they be putting up like the little fence with the green tarp so you can't see through it.
Oh
And then
yeah, yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
they'll put like a little advertisement on the outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the advertisement said this: pretty soon you won't even recognize the place. Listen to me. I saw it with my own eyes, yo. I wish my Google like had some type of storage. I took a picture and said, pretty soon you won't even recognize the place. And damn it if they didn't mean it. And damn it if they didn't mean it.
They weren't
So,
playing.
I was blessed to hone my craft on U Street. And that's kind of where the first iteration of soul development began.
Man, that was happening in on the brink of the '90s.
No, 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 no,
Or this
no,
is
no, no.
when no, this is after school and then back up
Yeah,
there.
yeah. This is like, nah, we way ahead of that because I came out of Hampton in '08. So this is like DC 2008 to
Okay, 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 okay,
2015.
okay.
2008 to 2015 DC. I had a good run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My students gave me access to the richness in DC that I needed to be, um, to present something because
Uh
so
huh.
many people transient to DC and they
Yeah.
actually come to extract. You know what I'm saying?
So
Across race.
you was with go-go culture or what? What was good? What was good? What were you
I
doing?
got hit. I got hip to go um in the latter part when I
Okay.
got, yeah, because I had to go. I had to get a little older to get the right entry point. You
Yeah.
dig what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because I came out there real young. That wasn't my entry point.
Okay.
Nah, Slim. Because my students was but they gave me a lot of entry. They gave not only did they give me go, they gave me access to the neighborhoods, the stories, um, the legends,
Yeah.
who who are the people that they hold so valiantly,
Mm,
who are the people that they would stamp that on. When they say stamp, right, they putting that on their dead man's, right?
that's right.
Who are the people that they would punch somebody in the mouth for if they put it on their dead man's in the wrong man? Like, who are these people?
Yeah.
And what I didn't realize then, but I do understand now, that that was a deep association of grief. They were grieving, and
Mm,
no one gave them credit for grieving, right?
mm,
No one gave them credit for that part of humanity.
mm,
And in a space where they would often believe that love would get you killed, so love was something you did not need. The only love they, in fact, do remember is the ones that are survived from the grave.
mm,
So it actually does prove that you do love, right? So
mm.
instead of, they don't believe they love, but not now there's proof that you do love because grief is love.
Yeah.
But no one took time to understand the nuances of these beautiful people, right? Who would get it tatted on their arm, who would take a brand new Helly Hansen jacket and make sure they got it bubble wrapped with they homeboy name on it and that
Mm,
face and that picture and that date. Um, So my youngins in DC gave me access to DC like unprecedented before DC was suddenly changed and displaced. Like
Mm-hmm.
I got to understand the buildings right before they were knocked down. I got
Yeah.
to understand why they were vacant. I got to meet the people who once lived there, the people who just lived there, right? So I was really coming into this setting of this massive displacement, but it wasn't yet fully in effect because the ghetto was still the ghetto,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm.
And 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 I learned beauty in it. I learned who and what and when and where. I learned why it was hard to get to school at certain times because they intersect with different hoods, right? Because the city is not that big. They taught me so much, man. They taught me so much, and that was like the first beginning of the songwriting for Soul Development.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent. And so then when did you take that over to Oakland? When did you get to the Bay once you
2000,
had that priming?
2000, 2015.
2015. Okay.
Yep,
All right.
yep.
Okay.
5 years
Okay.
here. Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep.
Okay. And you said already your partner and in your case your wife is in the group as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And how long have y'all been together?
Felicia and I have been together now for 16 years.
Oh,
Married,
see?
yeah,
Okay.
16 years. Married for 8.
Beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you,
Congratulations. Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely. Absolutely.
This, damn, I said 16. That's a trip.
When was the last time you thought about counting them years out? When was the last time you was like, oh, 16, huh?
Well, it's just like because because now it sounds like a long time, but we're still a young couple in
Yeah.
regards. It's just that we got a lot of history. You know what I'm saying? We started right in high school into undergrad. We both went to Hampton. That
Mm,
was actually I'm 1 year ahead of her, but it worked out.
okay.
Both went to Hampton, and then she went to when I went up to DC. She came up the year after to pursue her PhD from Howard. So she
Mm-hmm.
finished her PhD at Psych at Howard. So we were both up there. She was in the School of Education, and I was teaching and building culture in DC and building art in DC
Mm-hmm.
and space in DC.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So you got out to the Bay, and when you got out there and you began building family, was that an expansion of family? Was that a new endeavor? Did you have any kids when you had gotten out there, or no? I know it
Nah,
was right after school and all of that
yeah,
too.
no,
So
no, no, no,
no.
no, no. No
Okay.
children. Our
Okay.
first born in 2019, but
Okay.
we came out. In a way, we became family to so many. So we came out here to help build a school.
Yeah.
Um, the school was Roses and Concrete. We helped build, and in that got super embedded to community
Right.
with all different variations of access. Um, and I remember this too. I do remember this. One particular parent is my brethren now, but I remember he was like, he was grilling me for a while at the school to make sure I was sound, and that's all right with me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Check, run the system, make sure it's straight.
That's right.
Um, but he would often come and would just grilling me, and then after a certain point, he couldn't grill me because he had to engage with me. Like I'm working with the young people right now. If you want to talk to me, you gotta step aside or engage right now. You can't just, you know what I'm saying? And I earned his respect through my work, my ethic, my ability to answer with accountability, my ability to apologize on
Mm-hmm.
behalf of an organization. I earned his respect that way. But one day he was at a show we were performing at, and I ain't met nobody that talked more shit than him, right? And it's just the way it go. But we was at a show, and I remember seeing him watching us perform. And he couldn't believe we were the teachers from the school, right? Because at
Mm.
that point, all of us were teaching at the school in some capacity. I was the dean, Lauren was the music director, Felicia was the arts and culture school after school keeper, Brittany was a music teacher.
See.
So he couldn't believe that this crew that he'd been grilling this whole time just really rocked like we did, right? And
Yeah.
so we earned Oakland's respect through service. Our lyrics were true to what we were doing,
Yeah.
and our music was real special.
Yeah. That's it. That's how you do it there. That's how you do it there. You know, when I was there still doing music, and this is long enough ago that it is not super relevant, but that's really what it was, right? Like the crew that I was there with for about 15 years, Company of Prophets, we started really in the streets, right? It was the No on 121 the No on 21 movement. And that was around Prop 21, one of the first times I was in the city where graffiti was being used as the catalyst, right, for the violation of civil rights. In that case, it was as much of as graffiti on a door being able to be a third strike against a youth, right? So that was Prop 21 at the time. Uh,
Shit.
no, I'm telling you, it was crazy, and we fought it. We did everything we could. We lost, but what was born of that, what was uh, then at the time anyway, referred to as I think it was called the what was it, hip hop political movement, hip hop social movement, something like this.
Mm.
Uh, but it was that same credibility, right? That same thing was born of being people about the movement, right? It wasn't just a matter of like trying to pop off and get your little songs off. It was about being about something and hopefully being about something real. So
Yeah.
knowing that you're holding that same agenda, that's what's good, man. That's what's up. I'm glad that y'all are finding success through that, right? And I know you've been finding some level of national recognition around both of those endeavors, right? Over the last several years. Uh, so the part that no parent who has been through this loves talking about. I don't have any smooth transition because I've been through it too. Uh, you said your child was born in 2019.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Uh, can you talk to us a little bit about that? You willing to share a little bit about that, please?
Yep. So I'm looking for a lighter. I don't got a lighter on me. I'm gonna look for a
Oh
lighter.
no. Yeah, yeah. Find that lighter.
Nah,
Find that lighter.
but so as I told you, right? Like, see how long me and my wife been together. I said we've been together 16 years.
Okay.
So the context is two youths from South Sacramento, um, namely Meadowview, namely Valley High. Um, we met in South Sac, uh, had college endeavors from South Sac, ended up both going to HBCU. We went to Hampton. Um, our friendship was rich enough to endure undergrad and all the isms associated with. Uh, she was always so she's gentle. She's very gentle, uh, but very sound. But we have a great friendship, and that undergraduate endurance turned into a postgraduate endurance. So now we're up in DC.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I proposed in 2010. I proposed in 2010. I had just finished my master's. Um, she was in her second year of her PhD. We got married in 2012. We had a 2 year engagement, young couple. I think she said she was what, 20, might have been 24.
Wow. Young couple.
Yeah. Um, had an amazing, just our marriage is healthy. Our love is enduring. Our friendship is dope. We create art. We synthesize our art through our lenses of discipline and practice and black liberation and our love for black people.
Mm.
Um, that's our work. That's our premise. That's what it stands on. Our love for one another. Our love for God. So I've had this really dope friend, this dope collaborator, this my leading thought partner. Her pen is dope.
Mm.
She's a vocalist. We've been composing as early as 18 and 19 together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this is my friend, and I'm one of eight. I have eight brothers and sisters, seven brothers and sisters. Um, I'm not the youngest, but everyone in my family had children, all my brothers and sisters. Um, so I'm not the youngest, but I was the last one, right? And my wife and I had been together incredibly long. So it was celebrated deeply on both of our families. Um, it came after her PhD. We were patient with one another. Her mother is older than my mother. In her mind, that played some factor. So you have all these things kind of culminating around the birth of this child, who, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
oh, there's a song for her. Um, Her gender reveal was written in song by our band members, Lauren Adams.
Mm.
Um, and the song is most fire. It is so beautiful. Felicia had the idea to get a song written. And I'm like, you are really committed. All right, cuz but I just thought to myself, like, who are you going to put this pressure on?
Right.
But Lauren, our sister, our band member, just rolled with it and wrote the most beautiful gender reveal song.
Mm.
So we got to have art as a part of our story, as a part of our being. She made her mom so cool.
Yeah.
Her mom's style got dope as shit during pregnancy. Like Felicia, my wife, her style, it just flipped. Baby made her so, she was so fresh and so free. A lot of transformations.
Right.
Um, the nesting process. I couldn't believe I nested. I swear to you, I could not believe I nested. I thought I've been so on the go,
Yeah.
didn't really know how to interact with my space. Um, and so Kamayu shaped our world abundantly. Um, repainted the house, new flavor, new style. And she was born September 30th, 2019. Um, she rocked with us through our album release,
Mm.
first family reunions. She was everywhere with us. And we had a wonderful 41-week pregnancy. When I say a wonderful 41-week pregnancy, I mean Felicia was in a joy.
Mm.
Um, so healthy, still training, still running, I think up to like the 39th week, 38th week, still running, healthy, strong, um, wasn't sick, able bodied, a joy.
Yeah.
Um, that's the pregnancy we had, right? So parenthood to us was very kind in that way. Um, Labor was beautiful in its onsetting. We were in the house, my mother and her mother are praying. Kamayi was born September 30th, 6 pounds, 7 ounces, 19 and a half inches. So beautiful. Fully formed, every feature fully formed. We do remember her beauty. We do remember her onset. Uh, she wasn't breathing,
Mm.
you know, had
Yeah.
pulse and other things, and
It's a lot.
check check
It's a
check
lot.
this. Yeah. One of the ill parts though was my wife had to be she had to have an emergency C-section,
Okay.
and it comes with anesthesia, but the anesthesia affects your memory.
Yeah.
So having to tell her, but I could see cognitively that my friend of 16 years, the person who I know so well, the relationship that I described, our eye contact on point, we've been communicating like that for years. I didn't see that eye contact registry,
Mm.
right? Because of the sedation of the anesthesia. So trying to explain to her what happened and then having to re-explain to her what happened. Felicia's the most amazing. She's a phenomenal being,
Yeah.
so deeply powerful, nuanced. I can't begin to comprehend fully. But it's been a journey, bro. It's been a journey. It's
Yeah.
been a. I mean, we know that though. But
Yeah.
like, shit got so much twists and turns.
Yeah. So I'd been through, as you're aware, similar circumstances. I did not know that your child was born September. Uh, my son Javier was born in September as well, September 17th. And that was in 2008. And yeah, it his mother and I, um, well, we looked good on paper. We looked good on paper. We meant it. We meant it. And we definitely were very committed and very happy about the idea of having the opportunity to co-parent. And I think that has translated into our current lives as being very good parents to our second child. Um, and we did not expect at all to be having or in the circumstance of having a second child right now, right? The circumstance was what you described very familiar. Full term, we were working with doulas, right? We had decided we weren't fucking with no hospital. Birth at home situation in West Oakland. Um, and Javier had impacted not only us, but in the same way that you're talking about in terms of the impact and effect on community and building community, right? Our god sisters from our Ile, our all the musicians, artists that I was around, all the educators that she was around. Both of us were organizers and in the movement, and so touched hundreds of dozens of I don't even know, right? And to the point that like all these people knew Javier's name before he was born, right? Like to that degree, right? Like it was just known. Like this little dude was on the way. It was about to happen. And that night, um, the transformation of color, of sound, of the ability to taste, of the ability to sleep, the ability to breathe, that happens when this being comes to the planet, right? And there's no breath in their lungs. You know, I think one of the reasons that too few of us talk about that, too few of us who belong in this very, very, very vast fraternity that we would rather have not been thrust into, is that being on this end of that, my experience is that it puts us in a very, very different place, right? Because according to what we're led to believe is the cycle of life, that's on the wrong side, right? You are not meant to have to bury your young, right? In our case, cremate and return his ashes to Yemaya, to the ocean, right? Like that is not meant to be the role of a parent to a child, according to what we understand to be the cycle. And yet, life has a very different understanding of what we may think is meant to be, right? Because it's very hard equally to argue that a life that is, which is a life that includes those tragedies, is a life, right? My life is meant to be. Your life is meant to be. Her life is meant to be. And it can be challenging, right? To stay centered in that and to feel that and to truly feel like it still makes sense afterward. And or it was for me. Did you find that you were in that same kind of a circumstance, or how has that transformation been for, how has it been for you? It's been awful. I'm going to say that before you tell me. I understand. How have you been incorporating that transition as you are carrying forward, right? And carrying forward in the time of COVID, carrying forward in this fire music that you just recorded, right? How do you carry that with you, the both and of that moment, or can you even wrap your head around it yet at this point?
So it's another way of living. It's every day, but it's not like it's consistent, but it's not scripted. You don't know how you make it through each day. You just
Mm,
make it through each day. In the earlier parts, there were guilt about going forward in each day.
yeah,
There was guilt about entering and closing the day they were born. There was guilt about waking up. There was guilt about going to sleep and facing another day closing.
yeah,
Um, that shit was hard to shake in the way that you're trying to find out how or what does it mean or what is the evidence of having to go forward, and you so badly want what was on the way, how you perceived it would be. It's a harsh, it's like it's a cold lesson because not really expectations, but it shatters everything you thought you would be expecting. So it also
yeah,
reaches expectations, but it's deeper than that because
yeah,
there's a shift that happens inside of a living being when you're making way for a life to come. In the same way that the mother's body is lent to the birth process and dedicated to the birth process, there's also a shifting of energy happening. There's also a shifting in capacity to love. There's also a shift in your very being, like how you make up your attendance to the world and how
right.
you
Well, it's
social.
that thing you were talking about the nesting, right? Your heart is doing it. It's not. It's
Yeah, man.
not. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, man. So I I I remember experiencing that shatter and not being able to understand like what the like why, like what the fuck. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Uh, there's this wound to expectate. There's this wound to like you don't know how to live in this. You don't know how to fuck to say this. You don't know how to pronounce it. You don't know how to utter
yeah,
it. You don't know how to say it out loud again. It just is what it is. And then having to present this news to my wife was, that was heartbreaking again and again. But I do remember like we're steady with it. Like we let ourselves be with the day
mm,
as it presents. We built in gentleness. We built in gentleness and kindness into our just very like our first response in one another. And what you realize is that like the love that you were expecting, that thing that you're missing, that brokenness, that grief is love,
mm,
right? So the only way I can carry forward without guilt is to know that my love draws me nearer each day.
yeah,
So love propels me rather than restricts me.
yeah,
I go forward in love. I know that's what Kamayu was here to instruct and and see to it that I have to unpack because this is the way I've always lived. This is the way I've always lived. Um, but I never said.
yeah,
And now she makes it I couldn't my my faith was not failing me. My heart was broken.
Yeah.
Like my heart was broken. My will was that was the you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. No, I do.
I,
I
yeah,
do.
I wasn't in despair. My heart was broken.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know if people understand what that means, really. You know what I mean? Until your heart is broken, broken. Like you wake up, you lying on your bed, and you just look out the window, and then the next thing you know is sunset. Broken,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like that is not. I am ever grateful of the patience of my family, of my friends, of my community, and certainly of the access that I had to therapy at that time, right? I was in treatment. I was twice a week, like no joke. I'm really glad to hear that for you felt that continued connectedness, right? And so many therapists warn us and talk about the difficulty and the challenge in that, because it is a challenge, right? And couples are able to, and families are able to either surmount and strengthen, right? And in many cases, and in my case, it illuminates the fissures that may already be there, right? And so for us, as our second child approached, which was way sooner than either of us believed could have been possible, it did allow for each of us to heal, but we had to heal in the way that allowed for us to accept and embrace that forgiveness that you're talking about, right? But the forgiveness of self for us was not just around the loss of child, but the loss and transformation of relationship. And I think that how that shows up, because there's going to be a transformation, is different for every person who goes through this. But I also think it's very different for every male presenting person as well, because we don't carry the child in our bodies, right? We're not having that transformation. It's a very different one. What did you experience around that? Like, or did you experience that to be true? Was that your experience as well?
yeah. My capacity to serve grew.
Uh
My
huh.
capacity to love, the love that I had to go somewhere. So my capacity to see in love, uh, to be able to view all things in context and not judgment.
Yeah.
It transformed me. Um, I I am so very clear and certain about love being our last agency, our first agency.
Mm.
Like nothing's more powerful, and not even in like the you got it's the work. It's the work of removing whatever is occupying love's territory.
Yeah.
Right, like being daily committed to that work is how I was able to make more room to serve, um, make more room for gentleness, um, use whatever agency I had to make room for other people's stories.
Mm.
Like, because it's the things we don't say, right, that
Mm-hmm.
really have the potential to wound us silently, over and over again. So,
Mm.
yeah, man, that's how the forward has been looking. But the transformation in me is, um, yeah, I grew in my ability to nurture.
Yeah.
I grew I grew in my ability to respect processes. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it cracked me open. I I think I had a lot of ideas about who I was meant to be, who I was supposed to be, right? How I was supposed to be that, and learning to work in deference to women, to the sacred female, and to the sacred female energy, and to accept it in myself as well. Really was part of that healing for me. I got, it, the softness to which you're speaking, I think is that key, right? And it took me a long time to get there. I got very rigid very quickly. And it took me a long time. And hard head make a soft ass. You find out, and so yeah, I think that's the key.
Bless you on that journey. For real, for real.
Yeah.
It don't matter the pace of the practice. It's just the practice. You know what I mean? You spoke about therapy too, though. I want to shout out my church, the Way Christian Center in Berkeley. That was actually the first agency to give my wife and I access to therapy,
Okay.
and we've been that's a regular part of our being.
Yeah.
We have our regular. We used to have our time in person until shelter in place. We still have our virtual appointments. I
Yeah.
thought I wasn't. I thought I wasn't gonna be able to fuck with the virtual appointments.
Them
Um,
virtual appointments is everything.
yeah,
Them virtual appointments
listen
is
to me,
everything.
Slim. Listen to me, Slim. I
I was in
came to
therapy this morning.
hell yeah. Prop my shit up, get comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
Um,
Gotta have my St. Louis coffee. Big up, L. I see you. Nobody else touched my therapist. That's my therapist. But yeah.
but it was ill in the way that our relationship transferred, and just our deep listening was able to also acknowledge, like, damn, things shifted for you. You know what I'm saying? Making sure we are
Right.
co-checking on one another,
Yeah.
co-creating a culture of safety, so the work can continue, right? And we were like routinely in our home, and then sometimes we were on the road. So we've been at my big brother's house because that's another one of our safe spaces in Sacramento.
Okay.
Um, my big brother and his family is just that's just a very close part of our story. Both my wife and my brother's wife were pregnant same time with girls.
Mm.
Um, this is the brother right above me. He's
Okay.
6 years my senior, and
Mm-hmm.
that's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. Um, and I'm uniquely close to all my brothers. Um,
Oh, how many
uni-
brothers you got? How many brothers you got?
um, I have four brothers here present, and
Mm-hmm.
one transition
Mm-hmm.
to happen
Mm-hmm.
in 2014. Um, so yeah, I got four brothers present,
Okay.
and I'm tight with all of them.
Yeah, I mean, you
Um,
still got enough to start a boy band or a basketball team. I mean,
yeah, yeah, you know what's ill though? I'm gonna go ahead and just name this shit too.
call it.
Um, when I was younger, my older brothers, one well, they had a dance group first. Okay, then they started. But two of them was always MCs while they was in the dance group. But they
Okay.
had a dance group, son. We didn't have no big house. They had a dance group, and they would not let me dance in the dance group. I
Oh,
watched and learned all the moves, and they still would not let me dance with the dance group.
see,
So that was their time for the boy band. And now I give them tickets to shows. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
And those were both the older brothers, right?
Yeah, it was my older brothers.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was an older brother. I was like that. I fuck with my younger brother doing that shit. No, you can't be in this. Fuck out of
It
here.
was my
Fuck
guys
out
though,
of
man.
here, little guy.
I love him to my whole being, man. But yeah, but his wife and my wife are pregnant at the same time. We have a really tight relationship.
Mm,
So imagine the complicated nature of that grief,
mm,
um, being present for their child who was born just shortly thereafter. My other brother and his partner were expecting.
yeah.
So this all happening around me, right? So I'm young, I'm baby bro coming through the line for the first time. Um, so yeah, I don't remember how we got to the group, all my brothers.
Oh, because I was talking about how many brothers you got, right? Because you was
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about how
I'm
tight you are to the
close.
to
Yeah,
your brother
all of them.
up top, right? In particular, up in Sacto. But
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, therapy. So yeah, so our therapist, we do. She seen us there. She seen us at his house.
Mm-hmm.
One time we had to pull over and take a call in a park, right? Because we was on our way, and I'm like, nah, we need this appointment. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
stopped,
Yep.
and stopping for a moment was so powerful,
Yeah.
right? And it gave just invitation to do more of that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, man, we just been like breathing and taking time and regularly participating in therapy. We got a homegirl we do yoga sessions with on Wednesday.
Good.
Um, that and we do it in Kamayu's room. Our baby
Nice.
girl's name is Kamayu,
Mm.
Kamayu Soul, and we still interact with her room every day. Um, every day I'm in there. I'll
Yeah.
have some quiet time. I'll have some time with my word. Or we have yoga in there on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
It's a beautifully sunlit room. It's always warm. It's nice. So we
That's
go in there.
excellent. That's excellent. So you got yoga, you got the music, you're doing. Oh, see, I hit the wrong camera. That's just me. That ain't no good. That's just my face. You got yoga, you got music. Uh, you're in the healing practice. You're continuing therapy. That again, even as any black male presenting person in the United States. I mean, that's huge, right? I'm a huge advocate and fan. I'm so glad to hear that your church, your community is not only supportive, right? Because a lot of religious communities, be they communities of Ifa, be they Christian, be they whoever, like have their stigmas around therapy and around that kind of help. So thrilled to hear that. What
Yeah.
else? What else is it that has moved you toward that healing space? Are those the
Um,
things that are getting you there? There's a little
yeah,
extra
and
secret that we need to know.
well, it's I also acknowledge my commitment. My faith has not failed me.
Yeah,
So I pray for my wife every day.
good.
Um, because her faith has been tested in a different way.
Mm,
So though she still believes, the sometimes the utterances in relationship is hard to comprehend.
mm-hmm,
So I also have to acknowledge how I have really grown in the gospel of love.
mm,
Um, the way that I have intersected and have followed Christ for me exists in love in such a way that it's a daily practice, and it's really hard, especially when you're engaging with what challenges you, not what's easy.
mm-hmm.
That's also convenient, but to engage with what challenges us, um, and to be able to see in context and not judgment has really transformed the room I have
Mm-hmm.
to experience Kamayu. Um, Her name means quiet warrior, one who loves relentlessly.
Mm,
And I find that living in love and having that be my entry point, my intersection with God, having that be my intersection with um, Yeshua is certainly powerful for me. Um, and it's like, I also remember feeling so deeply afraid, like, where, why here? Why I feel broken,
mm,
right? Like, what else do I have?
mm.
I do remember distinctly when I'm leaving the hospital to go get the car, and I'm walking down the hall with a box, not a car seat.
Yeah.
Um, just a box of belongings. I remember having to hold my head up. I said, because whatever fashion I walk out of here in, my wife trails me, and my head won't be down because I'm not um, dishonored. I'm most honored by her.
Mm,
She's most powerful. She's most deserving of honor. And I walked out of there like I was the most proud man that I could be to witness who my wife was birthed into, but was birthed into pain, utter despair. That was her waking moment. And she's been going forward every day since despair,
Mm.
since nothing. So I walk out the hospital like that, like I'm about to go get her. And I remember turning and looking over my shoulder, and I told the devil he'd get nothing.
Mm.
You get nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing here for you. Me and this matter are going to be resolved elsewhere. You don't get to come hang out in doubt. You don't get to come infest me with questions and speculation and not having the ability to rest. Told him he gets nothing.
Mm.
And I realized that that competency was based on me losing my brother in 2014 and the way that I dealt with that loss and the way that anger tried to take me out and the way that revenge showed up and the way that
Mm.
it was just a long journey. So I knew I couldn't have that journey again because
Yeah.
I battled. You
Yeah.
dig? So I had to declare something different. And that has been a large part of how the other things create agency in me.
Yeah.
It's sustained by my belief, it's sustained by my faith, and I have access to many different modalities of healing and story and creativity. Though I didn't rush it, it's really true to me. I
Yeah.
remember I was working on some projects, and the truth of the matter is, like when Kamayi was born, and I experienced a double transition, everything could go.
Yeah.
Every fucking thing could go. Everything could go. I'm not, there's nothing I want. I can't even compare a want. So fuck it. It could go too. Nothing matters.
Yeah.
Nothing matters. And projects that I was working on, I didn't give a fuck. I didn't have it. I didn't have it. I didn't have it. It wasn't, what were they gonna be worth? What fucking words could I say?
Yeah.
To who and for what? What words are there to speak? It's unspeakable.
Yeah.
I don't have the capacity. So everything was on hold, including when we were pregnant with Kamayu after I think Art and Soul. We went to the studio and we did a reading for what was going to be the script of this book here called Soul Affirmations.
Okay.
So it was in
Hey,
script form.
keep holding that up. Keep holding that up. Let me get you. There you go. Go ahead.
Uh, it was in script form. And we went to the studio and did a reading for it. And Felicia was pregnant with Kamayu. So that was one project. And even that project, I wasn't particularly fascinated about. But one thing I did remember was to be patient with myself. And when COVID um, came,
Mm-hmm.
I was already practicing this radical gentleness
Mm.
that helped me translate to making sure that I wasn't rushing myself to do, to produce,
Mm.
to make. I didn't do that.
Mm.
I slowed down more. I took time to process how I feel. I took time to be with my wife. We took time to make writing, picnics in the backyard. We took time to go for runs. We did other
Yes.
things. We did
Yes.
absolutely other things because I was sure that I did not want to try to transfer my experience into consumable art.
Yeah.
Because so many people think that songwriting and that creative agency is automatically, producing a product. But what they fail to realize is that I did that in 2015. When I lost my brother in 2014, I put out an album called Peace King. Peace King, I wrote through that experience.
Mm.
Right, this was the first project I was trying to hold off on my brothers. So I wanted to see how nice I got. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? So I was holding off on letting them hear some joints. And unfortunately, um, Kareem transitioned before the project came out.
Wow.
I got, I got to share with Keon and my other brothers, but that was a real heavy thing for me.
Yeah.
So that began the Peace King testimony, and the Peace King testimony. In a second, I will grab one of the crowns, but it became a testimony not only in album form, but just in the form of token and memory. So I was the Peace King apparel has been the crowns that say Peace King. and that has been a token of testimony, a token of love, a token of remembrance, but also just to call our higher selves in this space.
Yeah.
So that work, I just re-released it uh, this past June for my brothers, honoring my brother's story, um, also honoring just that time and place that I wrote from about the Black experience,
Mm-hmm.
about enduring the Black experience, about the critical intersections of hope and hopelessness. So that record just played very appropriately into a reminder of where we are today. And that's the thing too, man. The grief has been compounded because since losing my brother, I've been involved in gun violence interruption space. I've lost people. I've lost young people. I've lost students.
Yeah.
Um, my city is on fire right now. Sacramento is having an unbelievable amount of young people caught on violence right now.
Mm.
So having spent time in gun violence interruption, having spent time in organizing, trying to make room for this grief that I was experiencing with my daughter was incredibly. Um, I had to shut a lot of things down and out. Nothing had to matter,
Yeah.
right? In order so I could process and be present with Kamayu and not the state of the Black conditional living around me.
Yeah.
Although we were suffering, although we've been in despair. So even the shelter in place, and then, with the violence and the uprising, I had to just, I had to understand on a deeper level what was transitioning, and it did not require um, commentary,
Yeah.
right? You got to know how to be through those moments. So it's been unique trying to hold on to um, and live with and live out my daughter's presence and legacy amidst this type of America, amidst this type of grief. But what it helped me to see is that we're actually all grieving, and grief is so disorienting
Yeah.
that you can't quite name it. It's just this thing that some people are we've seen we've seen. I mean, like massive loss. You just name it, compounded by the distance, compounded by what you want to, whatever you want to call it, economic crisis, like all that shit. We can name all the social stressors and indicators, but really, man, like life and the transitions and the inability to connect when we grieve, and the inability to see when we grieve, and the inability. It's hard to find a new therapist online right now, right?
Listen.
Like
Listen.
that that shit is not where it's at. You're not trying to engage with somebody you never engaged with before in that way. So there's a massive grief happening, a collective grief happening, and I can see it.
Yeah.
I have love and compassion for what's taking place before me because I'm realizing some America doesn't have any language to talk about this.
Yeah.
Nobody, this is not common. People like to not talk about shit, right? They don't want to bring it up. I don't want to bring you. They on my mind all the time. You can't bring them up more than they're on my mind. Trust me, I'm
Right.
thinking about them right now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Yep.
making my life has been set up in this way where nah, homie, that's no afterthought. You know what I'm saying? We here right now. That's what you want to. Yeah, I'm well. Here's how I'm thinking of her today.
Yeah.
Right? Making it a common practice, and even that took learning
Yeah.
because I had to learn how to interact with the world.
Learning in time, right? Learning in time to figure out how to even integrate that. And I think that's another thing that a lot of people don't understand and can't appreciate, right? So for instance, I know the proximity of your experience to your life now. And so I definitely had when Tracy, when my producer had brought this idea of this conversation forward, I had my hesitancies around like, yo, but like, I mean, that's fresh, yo. Like, I remember where I was at that place, right? And it's been amazing in the conversation to hear the level of vulnerability that you were able to reach. But I don't think it can be understated. And you did speak to it that you already had that practice, right? It's not something that you just was like, oh, okay, so this is how we do it, right? When my child had transitioned, I had no bearing, right? I had no bearing. So the only script that I had to resort to, because again, male presenting people, men, folks who identify as them, and again, for folks like myself who are gender fluid and live anywhere across the spectrum, and look and sound as we do, we had been scripted to do the exact same things as everybody else, right? We grew up with the script of manhood and the simplicity of that trifecta of, can I buy this? Can I kill this? Can I fuck this? Okay, if I can't do one of these things, then and just have rage as the next available thing to reach to. And that's what I initially had, and it took me a very long time to get to this place. And so seeing you being able to be in a place of being open, of being vulnerable, being willing and able to share what you can, because again, as you said, and I'm certainly not the first one to say such a thing, living into these kinds of transitions, even when we're doing it healthfully, right? People talk about like how you become whole again, and it's like, listen, there's an added thing, right? You're carrying a brick in your pocket forever from now on. And some days it feels light and some days it does not. And it is forever, but it takes to get to the level of shine as a human being, as a healer, as a practitioner that you have, as with all things, right? To get smoothed out, to become a diamond means going through that rough, means really making that transition. And, seeing you helping other people and reach to help a community and communities to be able to make that transition into this liminal space of undefinable grief that we're all in, a thing that is able to be articulated, able to be felt, able to be held, and therefore able to be lived and navigated in a way that has health to it, that has spirituality to it, and love to it. It's truly amazing, and I truly, truly appreciate you being here and spending some time and really, really getting into this with me today. It's not been very funny, but this has been the shit.
Nah,
But this has
hey,
been the shit.
it be like that sometimes. It's ebbs and flows. You know what I
Hey,
mean? You
I
just
told people when I did this, I was like, this gonna be real. Like life is real. So some days it's super funny. Some days life ain't funny right now. That's part of grief,
that's where it go. I
right?
wanna I wanna give y'all this affirmation. So this
Please
project
put us up.
now come out since you could also find uniquely enough, my wife and I remember I told you we recorded the affirmations before
Indeed.
Kamaya was born.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we've now started to release the album. So we
Okay.
had them scored by Damani Rhodes, who has been our MD, and it's scored to brilliant music. You can find it on your digital retailers, your Apple Music, your
Okay.
Spotify,
Okay.
Soul
Okay. Okay.
Affirmations. So the album is there, but
What's the album's name? What's the album name so people know what to look for?
Soul Affirmations.
Soul Affirmations. Okay. So
Yep.
one more
S
time,
O
we've had it again. We've had it a couple times on the screen for all of our viewers. One more time. Hear it.
Soul
Spell it out.
SOL, like source of light. Soul Affirmations.
Look at that book cover. You see it. Come on.
But I want to get this one for us today, man. It says today I'll be patient with myself. The goal is to be present, not perfect. As you hold grief, um, acknowledge the courage it takes to be present with it. There is no script for it, but engaging with it is so much power. And hopefully you practice that same gentleness with yourself and others around you. We just need a whole lot, man. Everybody learning their time for real, right? The diamond that you talked about becoming is like everybody in their own time will have their circumstances, right? You have to trust
True
the
enough.
Yeah, you have to trust the creator to know that everybody gets their lesson in their time,
Yeah.
and you can't hold debt around somebody's not getting the lesson like you want them to,
Right.
right? Everybody in their own time, because I certainly need my time for my lesson. So big ups, fam.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Big up. We're going to get that Spotify on the screen right now. So folks can see that. If you're on YouTube, make sure to check it out through the link that's on the screen now. all the folks who are in the community page. We would definitely make sure and leave this in the comments later. Um, and yo, Karega, we're gonna have to have you back. We're gonna have to have y'all back, and
Bet that.
when you got the music, when you're ready
Bet that.
to for the release, we want to hear it. We want to know what's good.
Bet that. Bet that. We're gonna
Excellent,
do it for sure. For sure.
excellent, excellent.
Take care, man.
Family, give it up for my fam, my new fam. One time, one time. All
Big love,
right.
man.
Oh, big love indeed. Okay,
Yeah.
family. So wait, what I tell you, right? Life around here, under this here tree, just gets real. And sometimes we're here for the silly goose times, and sometimes life doesn't offer silly goose times to be had, and that's okay. It is. I appreciate the opportunity to do this with y'all and to not have to be your grinder monkey. Do you know? To not have to come out here and hit y'all with them punchlines every time we have a conversation, and not always with some saccharine, superficial feel good. The way a lot of other people who are doing their community space creation are doing right now. Because honestly, at the end of the day, um, they're that kind of super sweet marshmallow soaked in honey thing is one, not a quality of our culture. And again, if you are a visitor, if you are somebody who is, how do we say, melanin deficient or challenged, and also still happen to enjoy and watch and hang out, do remember that while that level of checking on your friends with the sweetness and that touch of trying to gloss over some of the pain is your culture, that for us, if we're going to heal, it is going to have to be by virtue of embracing the whole of who we are, as we are learning from, you know, everything we talked about, being able to embrace the grief, being able to acknowledge the divine feminine, and being able to acknowledge that if we as a society continue to follow the lead of a cultural matrix that is rooted in violence and rage being the go-to when we're in times of upset, that the world can only keep burning. And we here at Smoke and Mirrors want to try and offer you a way to do better. So thank you so much to all of you for being here. Thank you one more time to my guest, Karega Bailey. Please do make sure all you check out all of the little links and stuff that was in the program. We're gonna put them at the end as well. And now we're going to do all the outros and the runners that we usually do. If you are somebody who's new, please stay to the end. We would love to see you all the way to the end so you can see all the other things we support. If you are somebody who's here all the time, this is the part where probably you're dropping off of the podcast. So if you have been with us this month, we have been asking for you to donate. If you happen to have a job, if you happen to have the means, if you happen to have a way, to the Marsha P. Johnson Foundation. You can reach Marsha P. Johnson Foundation at marshap.org/donate. Please do reach out to our folks there. If this is a project that you believe in and you support and you would like to see more of it, do you know what? It's hard to do, and we would appreciate your support. That is certainly appreciated. You could become a patron. And if you do, and you are one of the first 20, you get to become a patron who gets to hold one of those very handsome comedy playing cards, just like my nephew, Forrest, and guest, who is holding that card with my face on it And we would be very, very happy to send one to you, as we will to Kristen, Renice, Michael, Natalie, Juliet, Tarika, and Tracy. And very lastly, you can me all over the place. If you'd like to, you can find me on IG at El Caballo Negrito. You can find me on Twitter at Caballo Negrito. If you would like to put 5 on it, I would certainly be more than happy for you to do that at Venmo at Godlos-Wyndham, at Cash App at $CK Wyndham, or PayPal /me.CK Wyndham. This is not an endeavor that will ever cost you anything, and I will never ever bogart. I am happy to share under this here philosopher tree. If you would like to share this endeavor and do not have any cash with which to part right now, which would make perfect sense given what the president has done to the country, then the only thing I would ask is that you consider sharing it. If this meant a thing to you, if you know someone who it might mean a thing to, consider sharing it with them. And very lastly, the way that we find our guests, the way that we come up with ideas, the way that we do all of the things that we do here is in collaboration with all of our friends in our community. And you can reach out to us so that we can collaborate with you directly. If you have a critique, if you have a suggestion, if you have a thought, please reach out at Smoke and Mirrors, CCB, that is for the comedy, the culture, and the bullshit, at gmail.com. This has been an endeavor produced by myself and hosted by myself, Godless Kareem Wyndham. This is also produced by Tracy Tatamy, and I would very much appreciate it if you would take care of each other, if you would take care of yourself, if you would wash your hands, if you would stay the fuck inside. And if you are not going to stay the fuck inside and you are insisting that you need to be outside, please, for the love of God, do wear a mask. We will see you here tomorrow with our friend Asad. Who am I seeing tomorrow? I'm seeing Asatu Hall tomorrow. That's who I'm going to be here with. And I hope you're going to be here too. And I love you. Goodbye.